Well, good evening, folks. It is CFN Live yet again for another Monday. So glad to have you with us. So glad that we are able to spend Mondays together. I don't know if there's a Leaf game. I don't think the Leafs are even playing with the Four Nations event going on, so we're not going to have that as a problem. Super Bowl's over, so there's no more football. A little early for baseball. So it's basically just what hockey and basketball. Those are the big sports. Curling, I guess, is a big sport on TV right now. But needless to say, there are no distractions. It's just you and us, you and me tonight. Rob, thanks for all the sharing today, buddy. I really appreciate that. Huge support for our CFN crew, whether you're across Canada or in the province of Saskatchewan. Rob does some wonderful things for us. Really appreciate that. Want to take a moment. I know I say this too much, and he's probably saying, shut up right now. It is so comforting to have a great support group. And when I'm busy doing things that are CFN related and others can't make it or it's too far to go, or it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there is a support staff that I can honestly say I'm able to rest easy at and get sleep. And one of the biggest right now there, I can't say enough about this gentleman, Steve Shaw, to be able to go to an event and have limited Wi-Fi depending on where you are or whatever, and then you as soon as you log on and you see these wonderful edits. I tell you, between Steve and Walt, I can't say enough about those two, but I will say they are certainly they carry the load when I'm not around, and I can't thank those two enough. So, big shout out, thank you to Steve, Tony. Thanks for all the sharing you did, and congratulations on the new prize pack. That was quite interesting. Richard, it's I tell you, we are more informative than we've ever been as legacy members at CFN. Richard keeps us up to date with all of the goings on around the world. Lloyd, thanks for all you do, my friend, all the sharing. Steve, how you doing, buddy? Something makes me think that I've forgotten that you reached out to me about something and I've forgotten to do it. If I had, reach out to me again. I'm not 100% sure. I know I spoke to you last week, and I hope I haven't forgotten. But if I have, remind me, please. Fernando, how you doing, my friend? Scottsdale, I love that. Hey, buddy, it's always an honor to be able to share a few stories with you. I realized you were talking to Jim. Jim was talking backstage about the conversation you just had with him. Thought that was really awesome, and cool on you, and hope everything goes well. Corey's in the house as always. Thanks so much. Brad, fishing with the colors, bud. That was something to see. That was a beautiful whitefish you caught. Love that. Bob, I have your buddy already lined up for Wednesday. So for Walleye Wednesday. So make sure I think his name is Chad. I believe his name is Chad. Anyway, we got that lined up. Eve, as promised, I will mention what you had asked me to do tonight. I already have that set up. It goes both ways, buddy. It goes both ways. Mark Penner's in the house. How you doing, my friend? This gentleman here saw this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. The honor was all mine, Frank. Truly, all mine. I have a newfound love for musky people because of Frank and Mike Barker and the entire Handlebars and Thirsty Lures crew. They certainly helped in a huge way, and we will get to that. We'll talk all about that. We just talked about you guys. It's going to be a little bit hairy and gnarly to try and figure out dates. Obviously, as you can tell, we're as busy as you guys are, or maybe not quite as busy, but we're close. Just trying to settle a date where we can get up. It might be a weekday, but I know Brad, who I work with Made in Canada, him and I talked about it this weekend, and we are coming to see you, whether it's a weekday, weekend, a meet and greet, or what have you. We're going to be booking a day with you folks because love to support what you guys are doing. You guys are doing phenomenal stuff when it comes to ice conditions, ice safety, keeping us up to date with what's going on Simcoe and Couchiching. You guys do some fantastic, and obviously you get people fishing, which we love. Dean Howard's in the house. Love everything you do, my friend. Keep up the great work. Yes, sir. Mikey, nice to see you, man. Yeah, absolutely. I'm here finally. Well, you're busy, man. I get it. We spoke on the weekend. You're busy. Totally understand. Terry's in the house. How you doing, my friend? Now I saw you, Kevin. Now I saw you. Now I see you, buddy. You're right there. Right on. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's Donnie or Ashley that we're talking to here, but needless to say, it sounds wonderful. because I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, let's take a quick look back to what, of course, happened on Sunday. For those who don't know, who weren't there, weren't participating, a vendor, or at least part of our wonderful spectators that show up. And we were happy to say that we got close to 600 people through the door, which it may not seem like a lot, but the venue filled up. And the nice thing about it was steady. But for the vendors, and I want to personally thank everybody that showed up to the show. Boy, did they spend money. Holy smokes, did they spend money. Lots of stories I could tell you. Again, I don't want to make it sound like we're doing one of these, but the 600 or so people that showed up, holy crap. Thank you so much. You helped out and supported our Made in Canada tackle show and, of course, our wonderful vendors in a huge way. And there were quite a few of them that were surprised. So if you are listening, you were part of the show and you bought something, thank you. That's what it's all about, supporting Made in Canada. Absolutely love it. Nick Huxton's in the house. How you doing, Nick? All right, let's take a step back and have a look at the Sunday that was the Made in Canada Tackle Show and Marketplace in the Chatham, Kent area.
A winter weather travel advisory is in effect for the city with plenty of snowfall in the forecast.
As I said, this is the Made in Canada Tackle Show. Thanks to all of you for joining us and joining us live here on Facebook. Of course, come on down to the Spring Fishing Boat Show. Come by the OFC Nation booth, and you will be able to get something cool engraved on your hat, shirt, or anything else that you bring down. Moose will have his heat press, so if you're interested in having a fish icon or some kind of logo, he can etch that with the laser and fasten it to whatever it is you want. And it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. So come on down to the OFC Nation booth. I can't seem to get anybody else, so I just want to say thanks to all of you who joined us. I would have loved to have had Mike come up here and talk, but they're just busy with customers, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. I will say goodbye. Have yourselves a great Sunday. We will see you Monday night live, CFN Live, of course, with my beloved panel, Big Jim McLaughlin, Jay Barnucz, and of course, Lawrence Gunther. We will see you Monday, 7 o'clock, as we always do. Until then, stay safe. Go Eagles. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
Cool thing about that, they won. We don't have to listen to the charge about the Chiefs anymore. We're done. We're done. The streak is over. And I will say, for those Chiefs fans who did lose and they lost badly, it is upsetting. You almost had your three-peat, but you came across a stronger team. And Philadelphia had it going on. They were the better team, hands down. No question about it. So for those who watched it, I don't know if you're upset, disappointed, or you're like me and you know what? You've just had enough of the Swifties and the Chiefs. And it's not that I don't respect them. I admire the heck out of them as athletes, but just it's time for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Lots of takeaways from the show. Jim and I will probably talk about it during his segment, but one thing that I do want to spend a good 5 to 10 seconds with right now is I want to thank a certain group of people for going above and beyond, making sure that this show was a success. And not only was it a success this year, but they are setting it up to be an even bigger success next year. And that, of course, is the Handlebars Musky-Lure family. Those Parkers, there's nothing like the Parkers. And I'll tell you, this industry would be lost without these great people. They are a great benchmark, great template, great example of what people in our angling community should be like, should act like. And I'll tell you, they set a great example for a lot of us to follow if we choose to. But needless to say, Mike and Dana, you guys did a fantastic job. So just getting the word out. I can't thank you enough. You are salts of the earth. And as I said, on behalf of CFN and the entire angling community, we can't thank you enough. You guys are truly salts of the earth, gems. Any adjective that's positive, you can use, fill in the blanks, help me out, whatever you want to do. I'm good with that, because not enough can be said about the Parkers. They are gems. On a bit of a sad note, I did want to do this for Eve. He had mentioned that a friend of his, unfortunately, has gone missing. So I'll put up the details now. The gentleman's name is Gilbert. I don't know what his last name is. Not that it matters, but hopefully you can see his picture there. Reason that Eve is bringing this to our attention is, of course, someone from our angling community has gone missing. I believe Eve has either fished with him or against Gilbert in a few tournaments, but basically those are all of the features that Gilbert possesses. He is 5'5", 165 pounds. Jeez, I wish I was that size. My Lord, every fish I carry was massive. Short gray hair, I know all about that. Last seen February 4th or 5th on Rue Henri Bourassa in Papineauville, Quebec. Gilbert, if you're watching this, or if anybody else is watching this and recognize this individual, please reach out to the authorities. The number is provided there, 1-888-310-1122. And then you can reference the number there, E250-164-663. Hope they find him, Eve. As I said, our thoughts are with him, the family, and of course, all the friends that are missing him. It is our 10th anniversary, as we continue to mention, and this is going to be a year-long celebration, and we have so much in play. It's crazy. But if you want to join us and represent the colors, by all means, reach out to our good buddy Richard, who is taking orders probably as we speak for hoodies and hats. These are the Flex Fit hats. I love them, love them, love them. And as we announced last week, we're going to have Walter on next Monday to talk about the jerseys. We have the Legacy members. Their first shipment is on order. This guy has to pay for them. Once we get that done, then we can move on and we can have others purchase and represent everything that CFN tries to be. As I said, we are not the be-all and end-all of anything. We're just a good group of people that are like-minded, that want to do positive things in the fishing industry. That's it. That's truly all it is. So if you want to be a part of us and you want to join in, by all means, you're more than welcome. There's no charge. There's no subscription. There's no annual fee. Just come here. Come Mondays. Come to our meet and greets, our retreats. Love to have you. North Channel Walleye Open. Of course, there's lots of discussion going on about that. I'm really excited about it. Because the pre-fish, there is an element to this tournament that we are putting on that has a pre-fish element that is unique to most tournaments. And a big shout out to the folks at Shimano, as they have offered up some wicked prizes. Third place finish for big fish during the pre-fish tournament at the North Channel Walleye Open is 2 Nasky reels plus $200. That's going to be shared amongst the boat. Our second place for largest walleye is going to be to Miraval. These are gorgeous. Don't say anything to anybody, but you know what? As much as I love my Noskies, these are a hard reel to put down. So as I said, 2 Miravals are going to two team members plus $300 cash, and then of course the first prize. This is incredible. Two Vanfords are up for grabs for the largest fish during the pre-fish tournament. So as I said, this was a shameless plug for the tournament, but also a much needed pump of the tires for the wonderful folks over at Shimano who are doing some wonderful things for our CFN community. And of course, all of the wonderful things that we are getting done, whether it be the CFN Fish Off, the North Channel Walleye Open, or anything in between. Lots getting done. Love to see everybody up there. It's going to be quite a gala. Also, in the meantime, for those who love their pike, February 22nd up at Matagami Lake and the Matagami First Nations, they are having their annual pike ice fishing derby, where you can be the lucky winner of a $10,000 prize for bringing in the biggest pike. Second is $5,000, third is $3,000, fourth is $2,000. I think it's worth the trip to Matagami. What do you think? By all means, reach out to Christelle or Jessica Novo and at MFN Fishing, and that is the QR code there. Please, by all means, sign up. And it's not that far of a drive. It really isn't. And they've got lots of ice, loads of ice. Of course, it's not a typical Monday if we don't talk about our 2 retreats, August 10th and the 16th at Horwood Lake Lodge. Love to have you there. Of course, your meals, boat, shared accommodations, fuel, bait, and a nightly fish fryer included in your $999 fee. As I said, that takes you from the 10th to the 16th. Love to see you there. And judging by the smile on Walter's face, I think he's coming back. So by all means, reach out to Warren and Doris and get your butt booked in a bed. And of course, it is Monster Monday, and it wouldn't be a true Monster Monday if we did not talk about the wonderful folks over at Camp McIntosh. This is the second retreat that we are hosting, September 24th and to the 28th. This is an OFC Nation. This is our 4th annual OFC Nation retreat up at the wonderful waters of Camp McIntosh, right on Georgian Bay, where the French River flows into Georgian Bay. Incredible, incredible fishing. We'd love to see you there. So make sure you reach out to Andre and Tracy and get yourself booked. We do have spaces available. I do know that. So don't delay. Get in there. Don't be square. Love to see you there. And in the meantime, let's have a quick promo from Camp McIntosh, and then Jim will be coming up right after that. Stay tuned.
When he was born, he tried to reel in the umbilical cord. Bass named him as their personal best. His power pole came with a stripper. Forward-facing sonar uses him to find fish. Chuck Norris is his co-angler. He is the most interesting fisherman in the world. Stay fishing, my friends.
Yo, the one and only Big Jim McLaughlin.
What's going on?
I tell you, Jim, it's one of those days, where you're tired, you're probably physically beat, but you're happy to be here. And I have to say that's where I am right now. You know what? That weekend was it was a lot of work, a lot of prep work. We had some great hands, some great volunteers that helped out. But needless to say, as you know, I don't have to tell you, it does take a little bit of oomph and muscle grease and whatever else you want to call it. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Love talking to my beloved panel. We did speak about you folks when we did our live from the show at Chatham. I don't know if you were listening, Jim, but I will invite you to go back because you were mentioned a few times during that segment.
I'll do my very, very best to come to Kitchener.
Oh, fantastic. Well, on that note, I want you to know you weren't just missed by us, but there were a few people in the audience. One in particular, one gentleman that was really hoping that this was going to be the one chance that he was going to be able to meet.
You make me feel bad.
I'm not making it, but dude, as I said, I was really taken back. And I mentioned before we went live, if I didn't have to go on stage at the time, I was literally going to call him and say, hey, listen, would you love to talk to him? Didn't get the opportunity, but I will say you have one massive fan in the Chatham area.
That's cool.
If not across the world.
One's better than none.
Jim, you've been doing shows all your life. This is your forte. I wouldn't even hazard a guess how many shows you've done.
Hundreds.
Hundreds. Wow. As a featured, as basically you're a feature at all these shows. Shut that down. What are some of the things that you appreciate as a star? A guest, like a special guest to a show. What are some of the things that you truly appreciate?
I just like when people one thing I like in recent years has become a big thing for me is when people that I talk with on Facebook come in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, what is it you call it? Your handle, like when you were mentioning about me, I talked to Fernando once in a while and I got to meet him. I met him at Tight Lines one day. I was over there dropping off some fluff. Whoa, look at that.
So it's funny you should say this. So, Jim, let me just back that up a second because this is something that you would truly appreciate.
Look at those ribs.
Dog Days Barbecue. Mike took us to this. Frank met us there as well. Mike Parker goes here on a regular basis. And he says, you gotta try this. You gotta try the brisket, which is just beside the ribs. The ribs were delicious. The brisket was to die for. But believe it or not, of all the things on that platter, what was the one thing that I could not separate myself with and had to take home? Take a wild guess.
Beans.
The beans? Negative.
The coleslaw.
Yes. And you know why, Jim? That coleslaw has a presence of dill in it that if you like dill pickle, holy crap. You could eat that by the bucketful.
While we're talking, I'm going to find a picture. I eat pickles. I'm a dill pickle. I wouldn't say a connoisseur, but I know what I like. So I got to show you this. Where is it here now? It's not too far down. I just deleted it. Oh, damn. I know it's right here. But I love dill pickles. Oh, maybe I didn't delete it. Maybe that's my mistake. Maybe it's still here. Oh, yes, it is. There's a standard lunch for me when I'm home.
Okay, yeah. Dill
so
pickles.
You can see there's carrots, a couple of big dill pickles, a couple of eggs, and a couple of Melba toasts. That's, I walk the walk.
Buddy, and you do it well.
I gotta say though, I had a weakness today. I drove my granddaughter Gracie to the doctor to see him today, and then Tammy and I went and did a couple of errands in Brockville, and we went back and got her and brought her home. So I ran around I Ubered for 4 hours today. But when Tammy was in Walmart grabbing a couple of things in Brockville, I had an urge come across me that I had not had, and I succumbed. I went and got A&W onion rings. No hamburgers, not just the onion rings.
Why do I feel like I'm in confession, Jim? Should I
And I
turn
opened the
sideways?
box or the package, the
Should
little
I
envelope.
turn sideways? Please proceed, son. Please proceed.
I opened the little envelope they come in, and I
Yep.
thought to myself, there's 6 onion rings here, and one I could use as a ring on my finger.
Wow.
Like, and I looked the other day, so I ate the little one, so there's 5 left now, and I ate 4 more, and I saved one for Tammy, and you know she's fruitcake about food now. She doesn't eat, I don't know, whatever. She doesn't eat food like the same way anymore, and she laughed because I said to her, "I'm going to A&W." She looks, you're not going to A&W, and she went into Walmart. She saw that bag, and she just grabbed it and looked and ate the onion ring.
That's awesome.
Hey, is that diet root beer? I said, of course. And she, big slurp out of the straw. And then she goes, that's horrible, a paper straw. I said, I know.
Wow.
I took it out, put it on the floor of the truck, took the top off and said, here, drink.
Well, if this was confession, my son, please proceed with 4 Hail Marys and heavenly grace, and you will be free of sin, my son. Oh, good times as always. Oh, did you? Oh, there we go.
I'll save you a seat.
So it was actually really cool, Jim. We had this group out, the Barnstormers. This is a local baseball crew, and they were signing autographs. They are the talk of the town. When you talk about Chatham, it's hard not to talk about their baseball team, their local team. They're very, very proud. One gentleman in particular, too, Mike Sclad. His event, his entire booth, entertained so many kids that came, and I was actually surprised. You would have been too, at how many kids came to this event. And
Mike, I've done lots of stuff with Mike. Yeah,
Mike and his crew.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Can't thank you guys enough for keeping the kids entertained. They do some wonderful, wonderful things. And of course, Bars is always a mainstay at most of the shows. He was getting his freak on at one point, dancing up a storm up on stage, and he was being cheered on. In fact, somebody decided to throw a $5 bill on stage, Jim. I have no idea who that was.
Who won the casting competition?
Believe it or not, it was the mascot, not Bars, but the mascot of the baseball team. But Bars did fixed. Well. But yeah, Bars did really well. Then the Border City Bassmasters were there, which was nice to have them as a group. Talk about bass, my Lord, you would have had your fix. And then, of course, I know, Jim, you know all about this because Richard Elliott posts this on the regular. But the school hatchery program, they had fish there so that the kids, and then they were all fixated around the aquarium, looking at all these wonderful Chinook salmon. But what they do is so grassroots, and it was awesome to have it at the show so that folks could see it. And I have a feeling they had a few teachers saying, I'm going to bring that back to our principal and see if we can get that involved.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a great initiative that they're doing. But the Blue Water Anglers, they were there in full effect.
I think that started off up in Espanola, actually.
Did it really?
Yeah, like 20 years ago when I used to go MC the big walleye tournament there.
Yeah, in Sagamok.
Yeah, they had.
That's cool.
No, not Sagamok. The one that was done in the town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Georgie Eunice. He says hello.
Georgie makes some great baits.
Buddy, some of the stories that I've heard about, Mike was sharing that when it came to painting spoons, if you didn't come in with a full 5-gallon pail of spoons, he didn't have time for you. This is how much painting this guy did. And ran a charter company at the same time, so he guided and had a full-time job.
Wow.
How?
There's people that are like that, though.
How? And I don't know who was more honored to meet each other, him or I. But needless to say, Jim, it was a great time. Without saying, it would have been great to have you there. But I just want you to know you were missed not only by me, but you have some adoring fans out in the Chatham area. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. you're a kind of a big deal. I didn't know that, but you're kind of. I'm just kidding.
I'm a schmuck in the crowd, buddy.
Jim,
I got lucky. I caught a bunch of fish on the right days.
well, luck really, at the end of the day, as we've learned, Jim, since we've known you for I don't know how many years now, luck has a small part in it.
Wrong shoulder, right there behind me.
Yep.
That thing on the wall. It's the only thing. You can have everything that's in here. Take that away, you're losing an eye, an ear, something.
Mm-hmm.
You can have something to remember me from.
I was going to say, is it bolted to the wall? Like, will if there was a tornado that came through Sealy's Bay, that wall would be left standing, and that
wall could be gone. It'll still just be hovering in the air.
Beautiful. And you right beside it.
It'll just be vibrating and buzzing.
That's hilarious. So what did you get up to this past week and weekend, Jim?
I posted this morning when I went to the gym. I said I had to start the gym off. I had to start the week off with the gym for sure, because on the weekend I didn't sit still for 30 seconds and I didn't do one thing on the list. One of those days, like when you go out to the garage to get something and you come back in with the last 17 things you forgot to get. I was in one of them, but I was out in the garage looking through all the stuff for the pond, because I got to go through and check everything and make sure I'm bringing the right boxes and everything else. And so it was like minus 4,000. It felt like out there. I left them. If you had the garage door popped a bit and you left the door open, the breeze was going through so strong in there that there was a wind chill of about minus 75 in my garage, but the temperature was 0. Like, it was nuts. So I got to finish up a lot of that. I've still got I'm up to my elbows with my PowerPoint for the shows this year, and clubs and things. I have all my notes of everything I want. I have to get it all in order and give it to the warden to do the PowerPoint thing for me. So I've got that part ahead, but I got nothing on the weekend done. I did get all the lists for the Sportsman Show for all the badges and the speakers and the volunteers and everything. I got that finished up and out of the way. But now I got to go to Toronto on Friday or Thursday in a blizzard. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And fortunately, it'll be over for Friday, and then I'm going to go to the show Saturday morning. I have to. And this is it. He's not supposed to know. He probably does, but he's not supposed to know. But, well, Dave knows, but he's got the Rick Amsbury Award being presented to him.
Dave John?
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
On Friday morning at the Hall of Fame meeting at the breakfast at the show.
Nice.
And I'm doing it. So.
Of course you are.
I told him, he says to me, I guess I should have some kind of a short speech or something. And I said, well, the key word right there was short.
Boom.
Because I said, everybody, I'm going to walk up there. I've actually got, where is it? I got it right here, and I did it. I've got it all printed. It's a total of 3 pages. And 3 pages isn't really 3 pages when the font's this big. So I got this, and actually the last page is pretty short too. So it ain't much. I thought I went over it I took about 5 days to write it, and I went over it for about 2 hours here. Just taking things I wanted to say, eh? So I got that, because I usually just go off the cuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to forget anything.
Yeah.
And I just you don't get to do things like this too often. I've got to do a few in my life. I got to do Yvonne Brown.
Yeah.
I got to do her. I got her, Yvonne Brennan. It is now. I got to do her. She wasn't a Brennan back then, but I got to do her. I got to do Pat, that runs the big derby down in Hamilton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I got to do them, which I thought was really cool, because that was the first time that they gave it to 2 people, like individual or individuals.
Are you talking Pat Magano down in
Windsor? Magano,
yeah, the ICHA. Yes.
Yeah, he's a great guy. It was a fantastic event.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a full-time job to him, I'm sure.
It is. And he, funny enough, you say that, as full-time as it was, he showed up in Chatham. It was nice to see Pat. He's going to be down at the spring fishing and boat show as well. Looking forward to seeing Pat there. Yeah. Yep.
So I got that to do, and then Andy wants me to stick around, and because every year the spring fishing show has existed, him and I have done the opening together at the tank. So he wants me to stick around. We're going to do that at 12:45 before the first seminar, and then I'll probably hang out for an hour or so and hit the road and miss the traffic and get home.
Yeah.
And then I got the weekend and Monday to get everything in order for the pond. And Tuesday, Lewis is going to come over. We're going to fill it up and bring everything down, dump it off because we can drive in. There's nobody there yet.
Right.
Dump our stuff right. Just drive the truck, just back it right to where the tables would be and dump everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll come home Tuesday, be home by noon. I'll go back down Wednesday morning about 7 o'clock, and Steve Barnett's going to come over and we'll go through all the boxes and set up as much as we can and get everything together that way. And then Thursday morning, it's game on. Look out.
That's awesome. The weather is unfortunately not going to be the greatest this weekend. So for all
the weather was good for the weekend. It's Thursday.
Is it? Well, I heard there's a bunch of snow coming Saturday too.
Oh, they must have changed that then.
Yeah, so basically Wednesday and a Thursday is going to be a pretty good dumping. But
they're calling like in Ottawa. They're calling for a ton of snow in Ottawa. Eh?
Yeah, the one on Saturday I think is going to be a little worse. But again, if there's anything I can say to you, Jim, as well as anybody else who's traveling down to the show, just take her easy. Take her easy. We want to see you there. Let's just say that.
Yeah, if it wasn't so early, I'd just wait, let it clear itself up on Thursday and then blow down Friday morning. But I'd have to get up at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I can't be bothered with that anymore. It's
Jim, I know Steve's listening as well. Is there anything that you need toys or anything for the pond, or how are you for that? Are you good?
Hey, if he wants to bring some stuff to Ottawa, man, I'm always in for that.
Okay. All right.
I'm always in, buddy.
Okay. We'll make sure that we have a bag, each of us,
Sweet.
to bring.
It's always good.
I ran into this gentleman, Colin Stass.
What a stud.
Buddy, you know what? I can't say. And the cool thing was he was surrounded by guys, one of which he worked with or was his boss, one of the two that they haven't seen each other. So it was a bit of a reunion. To give him I will say, Colin, I'm a manly guy. If you choose to go that way, that's your choice. I'm all for. It is what it is. But
Colin was a big time bodybuilder, right?
Buddy, I'm telling you, the hug that I got from that man at the show was absolutely awesome. And I know at the time, we were talking about it. I said some things about his son, who unfortunately he's lost just recently, and he held it together. I know he's struggling, dealing with it. I can't even begin to imagine. But Colin, we're always thinking of you, bud, and you are a class act, my friend. Total class act.
Times 10.
Times 10. Yeah, absolutely. But so that is coming up the fall. It gets busy. Hey, Jim, think of this. So you've got you had you'll have the spring fishing and boat show this weekend.
At least I'm not the whole show. I talked to Andy and he wants me to stay. He says, well, wait till you see how you feel Friday. You can come Saturday, and then if you feel okay Saturday, you may as well just stay for Sunday. And I said, I got too much to do because I had planned not to do it. And then I agreed to come down for Dave. So that's still 2 days away from me, but I had no problem letting 2 days be stolen for Dave.
No, 100%. 100%.
Hey, Mark.
But we have the Spring Fishing Boat Show. Then, of course, I say your show because you've had a hand in it.
Hey, Tammy figured out today that the pond, this is the 30th year for the pond.
What?
Yeah, because she figured it out because my daughter's 37. And she came to the first one, and she was 7 years old when she came. So it's the 30th. I thought it was
doing that pond for 30 years.
Yeah. I actually posted 20. I think it's about 25, and I went back and changed it to it's 30. I edited the post. I mentioned it to Tammy. So I've been doing that for 30 years.
Buddy, you've given out more gifts than Santa Claus. In 30 years.
We used to get, maybe we had 800, 1,000 kids, we had 1 year where we actually counted the slips. I counted them the week after. We put them in a bucket and kept them just like a wash bucket, a pail from mopping the floor. We put them in it. I bought a brand new one for $1 at the dollar store, and we put it up. We had two. One was filled with suckers for the kids, and one had you dropped your thing in it when you were done, and you got your sucker. And I counted them. It was 1,796.
Good Lord.
So there was 5 days. We put through almost 400 kids a day average.
Holy smokes.
No, we used to get a
That
lot
in
of kids.
itself is amazing, but the fact that you've been doing this, I probably would have guessed 20, but 30 years.
They figure 30 and say it takes like 10 days out of my life total for the organization and being there. That's 300 days.
Yeah.
That's almost a year of my life just on that kid's pond. Wow. Yeah. I think it's really cool. And I've been to every show. This is the 50th year for the Ottawa show. I have been to every show. I remember the first year they had it going. I had just had my first article published, and I thought I got to go to a show. And I went there, and some guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, are you the guy that wrote the articles in Ontario Fisherman?" And I thought it was really cool.
That is so cool. And I will say, and I say this with all due respect, Just Fishing is a wonderful publication as well. But one publication that I truly enjoyed, Iron Fisherman being the other, was Ontario Fisherman. What a magazine that was.
Yeah, it was so simple.
Yeah, it was.
Plain. It was by Ontario guys. That was the cool thing about it.
So detailed. So detailed. Ed's saying you got to put a 10-pounder in there as one of the prizes.
Get a 10-pounder. I'm keeping it for myself.
Oh, true enough. And of course, it's a huge event for you. You love meeting some of the people that come by the booth each and every year. But of course, Jim, when it comes to the kids, your focus is always on the kids, and that is something.
It's funny. I've had kids that came there when they were like, there's one guy comes. He has a photo album, and every year he's got a picture of me holding the kid in my arm when he was a little guy. He wasn't walking yet, and then he has a picture of him being a little bigger. Then he's got a picture of me holding him, and like the kid's head's up to my knee, and he doesn't have every year, but he has most of them. The last one when we had, I'm standing like this with the kid. I'm squared off with him, and I'm looking eye to eye with him.
Wow.
You know what I mean? These people have grown up. It's really, really cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat thing. And then there was the one where the kid came in and said, "Hey, my mom used to date you."
Yeah, I remember you telling that story, and that's where we'll leave it because the rest of the story is very entertaining.
Or else I'd have to square off, man.
Yeah, it's not for this show.
Oh God.
Buddy, as always, I can't believe our time flies like it does. But any last things that you wanted to mention before we leave?
Well, one more thing. I know you're going to talk to Jay a lot about it, but ice safety. Yeah, I noticed that, as I was telling you, when I was in Brockville today, I swung along the St. Lawrence there, and it's really, really cool because when you see there's ice on it now at last, but it's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
The big water, the current. That's like that river drains Canada. It drains the Great Lakes, and there's always flow. I go down there. You go down. I sit by the water one morning, and it's all white and frozen. And I go back the next morning or two mornings later, and it's been even colder, and it's all open. It's all about the flow. I see Mark LaBelle's on there. He came for a visit today when he was at Kopi, and I was showing him my famous chatterbait that I used.
I was just going to say, is that the Mark LaBelle from Weapons of Mass Destruction?
Yeah, he was here today. This is like totally. Wow. You can see the plastic on the back of this thing. It's absolutely. See all the teeth marks and pieces hanging off and everything. It's got slash marks in it. I used this for one day. One day, it just beat the crap. I caught so many fish with it. Mark's going to be at the show in Ottawa too. He was at the house today. He dropped in on the way back from the Kopi pain clinic, and he come here. Where are you? He pulled in and he parked behind me. I was in the back over him, but I didn't.
Hilarious. That's hilarious.
Him and his wife dropped by. They're They're really, really good people. They're top, as they say in the country, top drawer people.
Yep.
So
Top shelf. Absolutely.
I got the 2 rods out for the sportsman show for my seminars. I'm doing Nico rigging and chatterbait fishing.
Very cool.
So I'm gonna bring
Something the chatterbait I've seen I've seen it up close and in live, and I will say, yeah,
it has its moments.
It's had a lot of moments.
There's a lot of things too, taking it to a different angle. I was going over things that I've done with it over the years.
Yeah.
And when I fished for pike with a chatterbait, I would have a leader on this, but I don't use a skirt. I put a big plastic on the back. And the plastic is like it's all over the place, and pike like that, and of course, it's got to be a funky color.
Yeah.
Pike love ugly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The gaudier it is, it seems to attract them. They look at it and they go, "Oh, look, gaudy," and away they go.
That's hilarious. George has come up. You know what? I have spoke to this man, Rolly Frappier.
Yeah,
Frappier, I think it's Frappier or Frappier, I believe is what is. I've spoke to this man. I had no idea he was the one that started the original.
I think they did. This was back when they had the big spill at the plant there that killed all the fish in the river.
Okay.
And one of the things that they did was I think they grew little muskies, if I'm not mistaken. And George, you can correct me probably if I'm wrong, but I doubt it. I think they did sturgeons too. I'm not sure. But somebody told me they did that, but I think they must. Yeah, because we did the center spread and just fishing on it. I thought it was the coolest thing. I was there and I was talking to they had me there, and I was on the Friday afternoon. I was talking to a school principal. And he says, "Oh, I have a stock pond here." And he brings me and shows me the aquarium. All these
Rolly Frappier. I have spoke to that man. That is so freaking cool. Wow. What a blast from the past. Well, Jim, as always, my friend, as I said, thanks so much for all you do, that you have done and continue to do for our angling community, CFN.
Wait, hang on now. What's the date of the one in Chatham? Or not Chatham, Kitchener?
I knew you were going to ask me that. I should probably know it off heart, but I don't. I have to go to my photos and find it. It is April. I get that in Kitchener messed up all the freaking time. Where is it, Scottie? Where is it? I think I'd be a little bit more prepared than this. And clearly... Oh, there you go.
Walter Oster would know the date of the sportsmanship.
Yes, 100% he would. So the one in Kitchener is Friday, April 11th. Sorry, Saturday, April 12th. Saturday, April 12th is Kitchener, and then Niagara Falls is April 25th.
Well,
so both in April. Look at you, buddy. You're the best, man. Right on, buddy. Will you take care of yourself? And we will see you very, very soon. Drive safe, okay, bud?
Always, pal. Look forward to seeing you for the breakfast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bacon and scrambled, no toast, you fat bugger. There we go.
Won't be the last time I'm called that, I'll tell you.
Be safe.
We got Lawrence Gunther coming up right after a word from our sponsor. There he is, the one and only Lawrence Gunther.
I'm a little nervous, man. Is the tech working or not?
You've never looked so good. I'm telling you right now. That camera, where did you buy it? Because I need to buy one. If it makes you look that good, I can't imagine what it's going to do for me.
It shines through about 3 ounces of beer.
I had a girlfriend like that once. Wow. Good segue. I love that. That's entertaining stuff right there. Lawrence, I know you've been busy this weekend getting things settled, getting things set and ready, obviously for the Ottawa show that's upcoming, but you've also been doing camera work and video work and AV work and all other stuff. But you've also been busy with many other things. I'm sure you want to tell us a little bit about that before we go on with some of the news items that we always do.
Yeah, well, there was 2 things I wanted to plumb our listeners for some feedback on. One is we've got some ice fishing events coming up that we're helping out with, right? Not ones we organize because our insurance right now won't let us organize ice fishing events for young people, and they just don't want to give insurance for that sort of thing. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what are other organizations doing that host ice fishing events? Whether it's just insurance or not insured, but just some of the safety protocols that people are putting in place when they host these families on the ice. I'm curious to hear what other people think, what they've experienced out there, and maybe we can learn from their experiences. The kinds of things they do. So if we could, survey the crowd a little bit for that would be fantastic.
I would say if it's an insurance that you're looking for, Lawrence, is it just insurance that you're looking for?
Well, I'm not going to get insurance on ice fishing, not until we get a few good winters behind us. Last time it was last winter, and it was such a bad winter that all the insurance companies I approached said no way.
Is there any stipulation with the OFAH when it comes to event days? Because I do know that they offer insurance through their program as well, but I'm not sure if if it's hard water friendly or not.
Yeah, if you have to be an OFAH club, right? So
okay,
which means all that membership stuff. And I'm a member of OFAH, and I would personally have insurance, but not for the kids we bring on the ice. Exactly. But insurance aside, what do people do to make sure the kids are safe when they're out on the ice? What are some of the things people do? I talked to some researchers who do nothing but study ice thickness on the Great Lakes. Mm-hmm. I said, what do you do for insurance? And they said, they went on and on and on the list of things they do. They do ice core samples before they go out every morning. Everyone's wearing a flotation suit. Everyone's got ice picks. Just the list of protocols they do to keep the students safe that are taking part in this ice thickness surveys that they do on the Great Lakes is pretty intense.
Well, and it's something that I'm glad this year that they have ice to do it with, because they've been sitting pretty idle for the last couple of years, if not longer, when it comes to the Great Lakes. But I would have to say I've been sort of keeping track of Lake Erie, because that's the one lake that typically freezes before all the others, and I don't know where it's at right now in terms of percentage of coverage, but I want to say the last time I looked, it was up in the 80 percentile.
Well, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, that's intense, eh?
It's been years since I've heard Lake Erie freezing to that extreme. So, very, very cool indeed.
Twice the Niagara Falls has shut off, and both times it's because ice on Lake Erie breaking up with a west wind, and then the ice piles up in the mouth of the Niagara River and blocks the Lake Erie from draining. And it causes the Niagara Falls to go dry for 2 or 3 days at a time.
Can you freaking imagine? And where does that water go?
It just stacks up behind the ice shelf. All the ramped up ice, rafted up ice at the west end, or I guess the east end, because the wind's coming out of the west. At the east end of Lake Erie, at the mouth of the Niagara River, all the ice shelves up there. The lake just gets deeper and deeper until at some point that ice shelf just gives way, and then you've got the flood coming down the river and shooting over the top of the falls. But people still, when there's no water down there, people go down there and look for souvenirs, and there's been all sorts of 1812 muskets and belt buckles and things like that found down there in the bottom of the Niagara River.
That is can you imagine some of the stuff that you could find in the bed?
Oh yeah.
Silt there is a time capsule, probably in 100 different locations along the Niagara escarpment and river bed. And I'll tell you, the shoreline of the Niagara River is a museum, to say the absolute least. And Jay was nice enough to put up that right now Lake Erie ice coverage is 91%. First time in 3 years. It's that high. In freaking incredible. I know you have some news items that you want to get to, but I did want to mention this, and it's not often that I do this, and there's a reason I don't, is because I like a lot of what we talk about to be somewhat substantiated. We do like to engage thought and discussion, but this is one of those news items that I want us to do a little bit more research on, because what this is proposing, if you live in the province of Nova Scotia, is not a positive thing, especially if you're a lover of chain pickerel and, of course, our beloved smallmouth bass. But there is an area that the implementation will involve adding terms and conditions to provincial sport fishing licenses, and will be written directly on the paper license issued by vendors, as well as detailed on electric license obtained using the online portal. The following 3 conditions of these licenses are: chain pickerel caught while angling must be retained province-wide. Number 2, smallmouth bass caught while angling in any waters east of Highway 102 from its junction to Highway 104 to Highway 118 to Highway 107, blah, 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 must be retained. Smallmouth bass caught while angling in any waters of the west branch of La Have River, I hope I said that right, must be retained. What does this mean? An awful lot of killed fish.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they still have a limit for this, retain only a fishery that they're proposing for 2025. If they still have sort of slot limits or size limits or bag limits, it's not clear. I mean, it's just a free for all? Is it just a free for all that you can catch as many as you want, but then you have to keep them all? That's not clear, and that would really, there's already incidents of out there on the East Coast where they've had smallmouth harvesting mandatory, and then they find the water bodies get hollowed out pretty quick. So in that sense, it's an effective way of reducing population size. But if you have a bag limit, but then you think, why would you have a bag limit if you want everyone to keep the fish? Why would you have a bag limit if that's your point? Is to reduce the amount of these invasive species in your waters? Why would you have a bag limit? You would just say take the bag limit off. So I'm not sure.
Great point. That's a great point you bring up. I never even thought of that. At the end of the day, yeah, they're like that's a great point. Wow. But needless to say, without pointing out the obvious, and I think I already know the answer, but what could possibly be the reason that they would want us to retain smallmouth and chain pickerel?
Well, the chain pickerel is bizarre. This is a fish species that's a native fish species on the eastern coast, of the United States. It was brought up into Canada in the 1940s. So it's been around in Canada for, 85 years now. And all of a sudden, it's a problem. So they're saying that the chain pickerel is, remember the pike family, they're a predatory fish, they're an ambush fish, they have no natural predators. Once they get of a certain size, they'll eat anything, anything that swims, crawls, floats, or, puddles around, they'll eat it. So that's their concern, is that these fish are decimating other native fish species 85 years later. 85 years later. The smallmouth bass is a much more recent development. I don't know how far that goes. From things I'm hearing, it's like 10 years maybe, but it's just ongoing, the spread of smallmouth bass throughout the Atlantic Canada provinces. And they're hoping that if you keep, and the smallmouth bass, they don't eat as many, they eat more of the food base than they do other large fish. They're not like pike. Pike eat other large fish, a fish a third their size or up to half their size. But they're hoping that if they introduce this mandatory retention of smallmouth bass, anglers and other people who keep moving these fish to other bodies of water and stocking these other bodies of water with smallmouth bass illegally might be deterred from doing that any further. They might get the message, okay, just don't do it because this is what it's gonna lead to. But that's will it, like if you say you have to I have to keep all the smallmouth bass here, so don't bring them over there, people might just say, oh, I'm just gonna bring them over there, and you won't even know. And just so screw you. It might even encourage that kind of behavior. Two kind of totally different cases. The only thing they have in common is they're worried about native fish species. I'm thinking Atlantic salmon, right? That's probably their big thing.
Yep.
And they want to, and this whitefish. The whitefish is something. It seems to be a problem now too. That the whitefish is in decline quite significantly on the East Coast, and they're worried about that as well.
Like freshwater whitefish?
I don't know what they are. I think they're one of these fish that move between the salt and fresh water.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know much about them. I know I talked to an expert out there once about these. He was studying them about 10 years ago. They found some. They're really rare. And so, maybe it's too little too late for those guys. I'm not sure. But I'll check into that and find out more about that. But
well, I did send this off to you. And as I said, I wasn't able to disclose where I got it from.
Yeah.
But as I said, it is concerning. Obviously, for us out here, we talk about cormorants, we talk about gobies as invasive species that non-desirable. But we do so, and there are some people who love birds, and there are just animal lovers in general. So when I speak, as I do, about cormorants and how I just absolutely can't stand those birds, and I can understand now, at least I empathize with someone who has a problem with me saying that, because I have the same reaction when I hear about smallmouth bass being eradicated. And really, is this to eradicate an invasive species, or is this to somehow maintain a native species, or is it a combination of both? What do you think?
I think the Atlantic salmon, we know the rivers in southern parts of Nova Scotia and in New Brunswick, most of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, those rivers are warming. They're not providing really solid habitat for Atlantic salmon as they used to because of that. Again, every summer we see, fishing being stopped because the rivers are low, the rivers are too warm, the salmon are struggling. Then you go north, you go up in the Labrador and Newfoundland, and the Atlantic salmon populations are doing much better up that way because, it's still cold, right? And so they're moving, they seem to be shifting north. If you take out smallmouth bass and chain pickerel in the southern parts of Atlantic Canada, are you going to stop the shift of these Atlantic salmon heading north? Are you going to stop the rivers from shrinking in the summertime and the water getting too warm for Atlantic salmon? You're not going to, these are things that aren't going to be fixed by removing invasive species. If you ask me, our chain pickerel have been there since 1940, man. That's 85 years. And now you think it's a problem? Now you're thinking we got to beat the hell out of this species because they're problematic. This horse is out of the barn, and I don't think it was the smallmouth bass and the chain pickerel that got Atlantic salmon into this problem in the first place. Okay. So to put the blame on them now, and I'm not sure about the whitefish, I'm not sure about that at all, but to put the blame on these fish for Atlantic salmon problems, it doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, Atlantic salmon have been in trouble way longer than that.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we will sit in anticipation. We'll let you do what you do best, which is the research on that news item. And as I said, it was a little bird that passed that on to me. I thought of one person and one person only to discuss it with, because as I said, I don't like to mention things or get on board with things until I truly know everything about it. And as horrific as that sounds, there might be something that makes sense in the end. I don't know what that could be, but yeah, it may not just make sense to me at this point, but it might be with a fully detailed explanation. Outside of that, I know you've got a whole whack of other news items.
I don't have a ton of stuff, to be honest, buddy. I do have some news, from our founder of the Striper Cup out there in the Miramichi watershed, right? They're also raising money to fight back on eradication of the striped bass and that what's happening to the striped bass because of the threat they present to Atlantic salmon. Again, the Atlantic Salmon Federation, pounding in on these species as well, and making some headway. That Atlantic Salmon Federation, they're well staffed. They have over 40 people working for that organization in Atlantic Canada. That's a pretty good pile of people, right?
How are you going to eradicate? And I have to say, without knowing, I would like to think that striped bass have been running up freshwater rivers in the East Coast for a number of years. They didn't just show up.
Oh, it's a native species. It's a native species. They've been beat back twice on two occasions. They've been over harvested to the point where their numbers have become problematic, and they had to stop the commercial fishery. But this is, before that, they were present in strong numbers, and they're present in strong numbers again because the commercial fishery was halted. Now we know in 2024 that the catch limit for smallmouth or for striped bass by the commercial fishers was quadrupled. So is that part of the threat that, or was that just a goodwill gesture to some First Nations fishery out there that's got that quadruple on their catch limit for the commercial fishing of stripers?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of tension between the commercial, indigenous, recreational, the traditionalists. They all need to get to the table and try to get this sorted out, because pointing fingers and blaming, your fish. No, it's your fish. It's these fish. And I don't know, that it seems to be very divisive, eh?
Well, it is. And I've got an interesting question for you, because I did run into friends of a commercial angler, and he said something that was pretty well, it's funny, but I don't know how funny it's actually going to be if it were to come to an existence. But for commercial anglers that fish the Great Lakes, that have Canadian and US borders, the fish that they sell that comes from, say, Lake Erie, is it going to have tariffs?
Well, that's a good question. And yeah, it will. So we have a lot of fish that are shipped to the U.S. market. Most of the commercial fishing on Lake Erie is done out of the American side. The Canadian side is pretty insignificant, but a lot of what we're catching is shipped to China. It's shipped to China, but then it's processed. And if there's tariffs against China, I don't think they're exporting it back. Apparently they do. We send fish to China, they process it, and we buy it back as processed fish and fish sticks and things like that.
Well, this is our problem. Folks, here in Canada, if you want to know what the problem is our natural resources, unfortunately, far exceed anybody's expectations of what they are in terms of existence. And we have been doing this for too many years. We have allowed others to dictate the price of our natural resources. We have to stop that. We've got to set the price. How a gentleman like Trump has been able to gain support on whatever it is that he's trying to push has done so, because unfortunately we have a history of just accepting it, and we got to stop that. And the thing that I truly love is Trump has forced us to do that. We've stood up and said, no. You know what? 51st state. Why would we want that? Why would we want these tariffs? Why would we want to tear up the free trade agreement? Like, this was all stuff that benefited both countries. But the fact that he's up on a podium saying that Canada has been doing terrible things when it comes to trade and stealing, basically, fraudulent trade practices. I'm sorry. Where are you getting that from? Because I think it's the complete opposite.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, 80% of our exports, 75 to 80% of our exports out of Canada go to the United States.
There you go.
And one of the big problems too is 25% of our farmed animals go to the United States, and maybe they get processed down there, and then they're sent back into packaging, like a bag of chicken wings or a bag of pork ribs, or that kind of processing, right? So it's moving back and forth across the border 2 or 3 times. But how do you know what we're sending down there and then what's being sent back processed? They don't keep track of that. They have no way. These slaughter facilities, these processing facilities in the United States on the American side of the border, right? They can't tell. Once it comes in, they can't say, this is a Canadian beef cow that was quartered. These are Canadian ribs. These are Canadian steaks. We're going to process it. These are the American ones. So don't let them get mixed together. They don't do that. It's all beef. It's all pork. It's all chicken. They don't separate the Canadian from the American. So they're just going to say, sorry, can't take your cows, can't take your chickens, can't take your pigs. And all of a sudden you got 25% of the production on Canadian farms. We have to find a new home for that stuff, because you can't just shut down these farms and say, okay, turn down the volume 25%. It doesn't work that quickly. You got all these pregnant animals in the food chain. You got barns that are working at full capacity, because that's how farmers make money. They don't leave their barns 25% empty. They don't have overflow for the excess animals. That costs money. So everyone's running at just-in-time delivery. Everyone's running at full capacity. To shut it down takes a lot of effort and takes time. And then you have barns now that, if we can't find markets for that excess animal production in Canada, if the Americans won't buy it because they just won't pay 25% more for it, then what do we do with it? We put it into the market in Canada. And then the food prices, will take a big drop, but then farmers aren't going to make any money. No one's going to make enough money to survive, and we really need to eat 25% more meat than we're eating now just because it's cheaper? Are we going to do that? Right? So no, we eat as much meat as we can already. I don't think it's the price that holds us back so much. It's just, we know we shouldn't eat so much meat, right?
Yeah.
So
no, you're 100% right. And then the concerning part for me, because you talk about, perhaps not making, what they need in terms of their annual yield when it comes to income. Now you're looking at government subsidies. Now you're looking at the government stepping in on both sides of the border to help ease the suffering. When at the end of the day, this is going to cost so much already. And now you're going to talk about subsidies because, of course, people aren't going to be having the same income that they had. You talk about product might go bad because we just have nobody to use it, buy it, eat it, do whatever. I just see this costing us a ridiculous amount of money. And for what? To make a point?
No. Well, then what happens is, if you say, you put these tariffs in place, the tariffs get put in place, 25%, we have to reduce production of animals in Canada by 25%, because we just can't keep pumping it out and putting it in freezers or flooding the market in Canada with food people don't want or need, and the price just collapses, so no one makes any money. So that means we got to reduce the number of farmers. They're not going to everyone's going to make 25% less animals on their farms. They can't survive that way. You can't take a 25% cut in your profit and survive and you can't sponsor these people with tax money to keep them running at 75% capacity for the next 5 years, because that's going to be unrealistic. So it means farmers have to exit the industry. Not all, but maybe 20% of the farmers there now are going to have to shut things down.
Yeah.
And
George,
that's huge. That's huge.
It is. And you know what? George is reminding us that, now it's time to get back to fishing. But I thought of that from a commercial commercial fisherman standpoint, is when you go out in Lake Erie, how are you going to be able to decipher if those were caught in Canadian waters?
You can't.
There you go. So anyway,
not going to work.
I understand why they haven't stepped on fishing or the outdoors yet. They've stuck with the stuff that they know, the stuff that I think is a little bit easier to keep track of. But needless to say, regardless, I'm with you. George, let's talk about fishing.
Yeah, let's talk about fishing, and be prepared to welcome a lot more American friends up in our country next summer who are going to come up here and vacation, because our dollars, getting less and less valuable compared to the US dollar. So the cost of taking a vacation in Canada is going to become really attractive. And maybe too, the fact that there's going to be hostility for other popular vacation places against Americans who, because of all this, what's going on. We're nice people, but there's a lot of places that won't be so receptive and won't be so welcoming. So we could end up with a lot of Americans up here. That's good for our tourism sector for sure. It just means, book your places now, book your spots now, because that could become a premium in terms of campsites and fishing cabins and, that sort of vacation.
Well, and you hope for the sake of what happened during COVID that some of these lodges and resorts are able to recoup some of that lost income with this. But, to your point, I'm hearing far more Canadians, it's 100 to 1, far more Canadians saying, I'm not traveling to the US after all this nonsense. I haven't heard one American say, yeah, you know what? I'm never going to Canada again. Are you kidding? They're not going to say that.
Nope, they're coming. I'm just wondering what it's going to mean for the price of boats, right? With these, we had these tariffs on steel and aluminum before, and we countered with aluminum boats coming into Canada. You put that with a dropping dollar in terms of buying boats out of the United States, all your Lunds and so forth, Crestliners, all built in the States. They're going to be more expensive, and then we put a tariff on them at 25%. They're already expensive as heck, man. And, your Rangers, all those boats coming into Canada could be hit again with another tariff. So you better look around, hang on to your used boats. They might become super valuable if we're not bringing in boats from the United States. And Canadian boat builders, I talked to some of them at the boat show, and there might be a stronger market for their products up here, but we're only 1/10 the size of the American market. They want to sell their boats in the United States, and they're not going to be able to.
No,
we might lose some of these Canadian boat builders.
Yep. Well, we saw during COVID, how many lodges did we lose?
Yeah, and they still haven't bounced back completely.
With a crippled economy, I say crippled tongue in cheek, but with a crippled economy, because we're not. It's not exactly perfect, but with that hardened economy that we're having and what we're going through right now, why in the heck would we even be discussing nonsense like this? That's only going to make things worse. It blows my mind. We do have a comment from I'm going to say from someone out in the East. Scott Pike is his name. As a prolific striper fisherman and guide, for the love of God, and he says this GAWD, please protect our species. We work so hard to build these species back up.
Yeah.
Can't say enough. And then, of course, his follow-up comment is, I want Nova Scotia to be a trip destination for striper and other species, but vilify striper and marketing sea bass is a death note.
Well, you think about the striped bass recreational fishery in the United States on the East Coast, right? It's struggling. They have a lot of. Oh yeah. It's been struggling for years. There's a lot of closures. There's a very limited opportunities for striped bass fishing in most of Atlantic seaboard of the United States.
Okay.
So we're, and then we've got these tremendous, the populations that are in the Miramichi, those striped bass, they're not necessarily heading down to the States. These are fish that are kind of Canadian, right? They're not mixing in with the American fish down there. Right. So, and the American fish don't come up here in the summer. So not so much. So this is a unique fish stock that's now being pounded commercially. And but it's still in good shape. Now, if that your friend there, Pike, if we get some Americans coming up here to take advantage of this beautiful fishing we have up in Canada, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that can really help Canada become solid and really tap into a sustainable commercial activity. Fishing done the right way can go on forever. It's not like where you have to cut down all your big trees and then you're gone. You have to wait 100 years for them to grow back, or or the minerals and oils pulled out of the ground. This is a renewable resource. If it's managed well, we can be a playground for the rest of the world, done well for a long time to come. Wouldn't that be amazing?
It really would. And as I said, we've talked about, some of the negatives, bad takeaways, cons, whatever you want to call it. And of course, some of the positives. And the positive I see with all this craziness that's going on, this might be a chance for an influx, a recoup of some of our tourist destinations, fishing included, lodges that have not had that American content for a number of years, and it'd be nice to see us get back to that. It would to a certain degree. I'd like to see us get back, but again, there's no need for it. We should be able to do this regardless of what's going to happen with the tariffs. Scott also goes on to say we've done catch and release, both shore and boat, for ages, with watching beautiful 30+ inch fish successfully released in I'm going to butcher that. Shubenacadie.
Oh, Shubenacadie.
Well done, Lawrence. Woo-hoo. Good for you. Let's keep the species safe. Lower the catch size to 18 to 24 inches. There's a gentleman that certainly knows his fishery.
Yeah.
That is, we call that citizen science right there, Scott. And thanks for offering up some great suggestions, and good luck with what is going to be a continued story that I'm sure Lawrence is going to be able to shed some light on next week when we talk about it. Let him do a little bit of research on it, and then we'll find out where it goes. But
right now we've got a Wednesday 4:00 p.m. deadline to submit a 4-year grant application from Canada Water Agency for doing a water quality testing on the Great Lakes. And I'm arguing, look, the fish, the $9.5 billion worth of freshwater fish activity that are taken out of the Great Lakes every year, the most valuable freshwater fishery in the world, the Great Lakes, aren't these fish a key indicator of water quality in the Great Lakes? We should be watching the fish. We should be making sure these fish are healthy, making sure these fish are able to do the things they need to do without getting all messed up because of chemicals or whatever, right? So I'm saying let's look, you can talk just about water quality and taking water samples. Don't forget the fish, and we can maybe help with that, doing this kind of community science where we contribute data about fish health, invasive species impacts on fish, all the other stuff about fish. They're the canary in the cave, right? So anyways, they bit, the Canadian Water Agency bit, and they've asked us to put in a proposal. So that's what we're working on right now. We've got about 15 letters of support. Thank you very much, Scottie, for yours. And, and we're tuning this thing up, and we'll take another run at it, see how it goes. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, dude. As always, we're there to support all of your endeavors and your fun fact fetching sessions that you typically do. But when it comes to the information and the news, and Lawrence, I certainly want to take this opportunity to emphasize the importance of your segment, because it does enlighten us with stuff that we don't know. Like when it comes to Nova Scotia, unless that's on social media or talked about in news, news media locations, we wouldn't know. How would we know?
Well, that's it. And now that Facebook and Instagram, they won't share links of media stories. It's anything that's in the media that those social media tools, they will not share links to Canadian news items of any sort because of the spat, right? Because of the spat. So, newsletters are becoming more and more important. And then the people who put those newsletters together, we have to dig extra deep now, because we can't just go out there and sift through a whole bunch of social media posts and pull out the plums. It's no longer about sorting low-hanging fruit anymore. You got to go to all of these media websites, and a lot of them are, and look at each website. Okay, what's the Globe and Mail saying? What's Global TV, CTV? You got to go to all of them and do your digging, and it's a labor of love, and I'm looking forward to getting the next one out. Like I said, right now it's been grant writing season, and so it's
Well, I want to
get the lights on, buddy. Got to get the lights on.
Apologize. As busy as you are, you're going to get very busy soon, because I do believe that we have quite a few people from out east watching tonight. Scott Pike obviously is one that has chimed in. Richard Dunlop went looking, and this is what I love Richard for.
Oh yeah,
he went searching for what the bag limit is for chain pickerel. Yeah, and he found that it's 100.
That's just insane.
Century Outfitters, who I'm going to assume is out east as well, says that is a federal limit.
Yeah, that's a federal fishery, and 100 fish, and these are fish. They're like pike, right? They get to 10 pounds.
Jeez.
It's
a lot of fish.
Maybe they don't get to the 30, 40 pounds that some of the big northern pike get to in Ontario and Quebec, but 10-pound fish is a 10-pound fish. 100 of those.
Well, the gentleman that's going to be doing the research on this story is the one that you're looking at right now. His name is Lawrence Gunther. Please print it correctly. If you
email
want
me. Email me.
Want his email, it's lawrence.gunther at...
No, it's just send it to Lawrence at lawrencegunther.com. Lawrence at lawrencegunther.com. Yeah.
So if you are an East Coast angler, if you are in the province of Nova Scotia, or someone that just enjoys fishing in Nova Scotia, and you know a little bit about what's going on with the smallmouth and the chain pickerel, please reach out to Lawrence. He's going to be doing some fact finding, because we want to somehow circumvent what could potentially be a huge fish kill, and I don't know if the facts are lining up enough to warrant that kind of massacre.
It seems like such a waste.
Such a waste. It really does.
Yeah.
Lawrence, as always, dude, our half hour flies by. I look forward to talking to you next week in regards to it. Of course, dude, we're going to be in Ottawa not that long.
Yeah, man.
I need you to do me a favor.
Huh?
When the spring fishing and boat show was over and we've done our live, sometime on Wednesday, I need you to remind me.
They're coming to Ottawa?
Yeah, just text remind me.
All right.
Just text remind, because I know, because there is something that I was meaning to bring to you that I have yet to.
You don't need to bring anything, buddy. Just bring.
I do. Trust me.
And then let's find some time to hang out. Let's find some time to hang. Not just at the show where everyone's.
Trust me when I say this. I was supposed to bring it to you 2 years ago, and I forgot. I thought it got sent out in the mail. It didn't. I went looking. I was looking for prizes and stuff for upcoming events that we have. Lo and behold, the envelope gets presented to me, and this says Lawrence Gunther on it. What's this for? I'm like, oh, no way.
Christmas.
Oh, yes, it'll be a surprise. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.
I owe you one too, then, for sure. I got to do a print. I got to do a print as well, man, and I got to get some of those done too. That's in the works. It's in the works.
Well, listen, you have yourself a great week, my friend, and thanks for all you do and continue to do, and we look forward to talking to you next Monday.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Take care, everyone.
Lawrence, have yourself a great week. We have Jay Barnucz coming up right after a word from his sponsor.
The fear of failure is failure itself. The world of science rewards the ones who are willing to try and fail. Because without the courage to embrace failure, ideas remain ideas. But with that courage to fail and to learn, ideas can change the world.
They certainly can. That is the man right there.
Hey, buddy.
Jason Barnucz, the one and only.
So how was Chatham? Chatham sounded pretty good.
Chatham was awesome. I was just going to say, since we knew what we did this weekend, we'd love to talk about what you did, because we're now going to live vicariously through you. To go on about the Chatham show. I was intrigued by the show of support from the town. They said nothing but great things about the fact that there is this event, something that I think the city themselves have been looking forward to for a number of years now, because I think they had a show and it just up and disappeared, and they really haven't had a lot in that community. And let's face it, Chatham is surrounded by water.
Yeah,
there are so many anglers out that way. So yeah, it was nice to see. As I said, the venue was fantastic. The show was a success. and it sounds like everybody went home happy. So I'm thankful for that. But you were missed, Jay. I will say that.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, like Chatham, I spent a lot of time in Chatham for work. A lot of my research is down there, and I enjoy the city. There's a lot of nice restaurants in Chatham. You went to Dog Days Barbecue, I heard. You don't have to recap it. It is. I don't know how I only actually found that restaurant a couple of years ago, and I know it's gone through a couple different locations, but yeah, if you're in Chatham and you're looking for a place to eat, that is probably the place to go. Truly is.
Hands freaking down.
There's a lot of it's just a great place though. It's surrounded by water, right? And you drive 20 minutes down the road to Lake St. Clair. You can drive 20 minutes. So that's kind of heading sort of straight west. Then you can head straight south down to Rondo, right? And if you really want to adventure, you can go southwest down towards Kingsville and Point Pelee, all from Chatham. And then, you know what? I don't want to go there. I want to go to the St. Clair River. I'm just going to drive 40 minutes north up to the St. Clair River, right?
Which, from what I've heard, talking to the people that came to the show, that fishery right now is on fire. And I'm not just talking about like right now. I'm talking about in the last couple of years, folks that have been fishing that area for some time, they're just raving about it now. In fact, they don't even want to talk about how good it is because they're afraid how many people are going to start showing up.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that you don't even have to leave the city limits of Chatham because the channel cat fishing there at some points rivals the channel cat fishing in Dunnville. Scottie, it is. If you love fishing, it is a great place to be. And I know that the Parker family really were gracious hosts. Dude, I love you, but I really wanted to come down and see the Parkers too. I really wanted to come down. I truly did. I'm glad they're coming to the spring fishing show, so I get to see them. I miss that whole crew. Because I don't get to see them nearly enough. They're just good people, man.
Really Jay, you're so right, and it can't be said enough. At the end of the day, you're talking about salts of the earth, and they're like two teenage lovebirds. Like they kid with each other, they poke, they prod. I just love them. They're just freaking adorable. I love the Parkers. They're a great family, and we're lucky.
Well, and you got and they got the two kids. There's Mikey and Jade. Jade, my partner in crime, one summer. She worked for us for the one summer, so she's just a very fishy family, man. Really enjoyed it. So, but what did I do this weekend? So actually, I'll talk about it a little bit, but I'm gonna show. I got a slide I want to show you about ice safety, but I want you to talk to me about pre-show. We talked about ice moving, right?
So yes, and
let's go into that.
Okay, so Kyle shared a video. He's done this before. For those who know Kyle, you'll recognize him the minute you see the video. But he talks about things. He talks about this specific, and it's unique to larger bodies of water. Obviously, Great Lakes, Lake Simcoe would be a great example. But when you're on those sheets of ice, it's hard to tell when they're moving. And for those, we basically just admire those who get caught on these ice as how could that possibly happen? How did you let that happen? How did you get on that drift? How did you not know? Yeah. Well, Kyle's offering a remedy that will allow you to know, and it's really cool. Have a listen.
Tip of the day here. It's an oldie but goodie. For those that fish Green Bay here know that the ice shifts around a lot, and that can be kind of a pain at times with the cracks and everything else and people getting stranded. Well, here's a little trick that I learned over the years that helps. Take your tip up with an 8-ounce ball, send her down the bottom. Once it hits bottom there, put your tip up down, tighten it up, it's right there. Well, that ice moves anywhere, you're gonna know. As soon as that ice starts to shift, tip up goes off. Got the Bluetooth there hooked to my phone, and I got a remote in the shack, so I know as soon as it goes off. And grab your shit, start going. You ain't got much time, so make sure you're somewhat close to the crack.
So, dude, this happens, right? Especially on big water bodies. It's happened on Lake Simcoe before, where guys have gotten stranded because the ice has shifted, right?
Yep.
So, I'm going to tell you a short story about what happened with us last weekend. I didn't even tell you on last week's show.
No.
So we were on Long Point Bay, and there's two major pressure cracks down where we were fishing in the corner. And I'm going to tell you that when we went out in the morning, Scottie, so
Yes.
Trevor, Nolan, and I, we went out on the Saturday. We crossed the first pressure crack, and now I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you my favorite tool for ice fishing. I'm going to share this. That's it right there, dude. It's my 2-piece Eskimo ice chisel. And where we were fishing on Long Point Bay, I never found ice less than like 9-10 inches. It was 9 to 10 inches everywhere I went. But we get out there in the morning, and there's a pressure crack about 50 meters offshore. Not a big one, not built up, not a very obvious one. A little bit of water, okay? So I walk up to it. I tell the boys to stay behind me. I got my picks. I always have my picks around my neck. I forget they're there, dude. I get home and I'm trying to get undressed, and my picks are choking me because I always have them on. So I get up and I take my chisel. Now, why I love this chisel is, one, it's 2 pieces. It goes in my sled. It comes apart. It's always there when I need it, okay? Number 2, it is heavy. It is a very heavy chisel. I've looked at other chisels. Yes, you can make them homemade, but for the price of this chisel, it was just worth the money for me. And you see the strap on the top, the little handle on top. So when I'm walking with this thing, and I don't use it like a walking stick, like I'm throwing it, like I'm literally like, I'm going up to that pressure crack and I'm whacking at it and I'm whacking at it. And I know if I hit it hard, and I'm a big guy though, but if I hit it hard, I'll go through about 2.5 to 3 inches. If I don't hit water on one swing, I'm okay, but I will hit it twice because I'm a big guy. I'll hit it twice. If I don't see water at all, I easily have over 4 inches of ice, and I'll keep stepping. Now, we had to step over the pressure crack was open like about, 6 or 8 inches, okay? So we just step over it. And we had our cleats on. It was slippery. We had our cleats on. We step over it, and we head out. There's a second pressure crack about 1 kilometer out. Same thing. We found a spot where it's flat. Walked up to, I actually kicked, the ice heaves up, Scottie.
Yeah.
So I kicked one of the blocks over so we could get our sleds over, but I still walked up and I checked. We're good. I used my GPS and my phone. I actually marked the spot where we crossed for both pressure cracks, so I know where to cross when we come back. Okay. So anyways, we're out there fishing. Heather calls. She's like, Jay, I'm going to bring Stephanie down. We're going to come out for a walk. It's a beautiful sunny day. And yeah, perfect. Call me when you get to the marina, and I'll walk back and get you. It's about 1 kilometer walk. So I start walking, and Scottie, I get back to the marina, and I'm at that original pressure crack 50, 60 meters out, and it's full. There's water everywhere. Like, it hasn't opened up. The crack is the same width, but it's ponded. Like, the water has come up, and it's probably 50, 60 feet of water on either side of the crack, like 100 feet of water. And it's about ankle deep. And now while we were fishing, we did have a couple of big pressure cracks go that day. And if you remember, on that Friday, it rained hard all day, and then we got that snow. So that whole day, the ice was noisy because all that rain was freezing, like it was refreezing, right? I wasn't scared, but the ice was really active. Like hut shaking active, like the hut would just rock, right? So anyways, I go back, the girls are there, and I'm at where we crossed. And I'm like, you can't cross here. And of course, Heather and Stephanie, because the ice was so thick and I checked everywhere, they didn't have their I have safety gear for everybody. They didn't have their safety gear with them because I told them it was fine. I felt awful because I'm like, now also, if it's unsafe, I don't want them coming. Like, true story, right?
Yeah.
While I'm there, I said to Heather, you guys don't come out today. I'm going to head back out with the boys. And I'm going to let them know what's going on in case we have to bail early. As I'm walking back towards our hut, there's people out on the ice walking around like it's a sunny day. They're out just for a walk. They're not even fishing. there was a mom with 2 boys, and she was going to cross the pressure crack where I crossed it in the morning. She was heading right for it. I stopped her, and I said, okay, I need you to make sure that you don't cross here. You need to cross way down there where the crack hasn't opened up as much. There's no water on top, and still be careful. Now I have I felt awful. My ice chisel is back, and my throw line, all my safety gear is back at my hut, a kilometer away where the boys are. So Heather's like, what do I do if this woman goes through? I go, you call 911. Like, I'm not going to leave. I watched her cross, but I was getting scared now, dude, because that was the first time in my life where I've been out and like the pressure crack opened while I was out there. And what we ended up doing though was I promised the boys, I'm like, look, we're going to fish not till dark. We're going to, an hour before sunset, we're packing up and we're going to head the 20-minute walk in so that we can make sure that we're over that pressure crack before it gets dark out, right? That was the plan. They were a little bummed out because we weren't going to fish until after that night bite, but I said, it's not worth it. We're going to get back safely. Yep. Anyways, we get back, across the hut, across the crack, everything was fine. And even this past weekend, Scottie, we went to the same, not like the same access point, but a different area. Lots of pressure cracks. It's crazy though, like black ice everywhere, like beautiful, beautiful hard black ice. Like if you don't have cleats, it'll take you twice as long to get anywhere because you're just scurrying along. Like it's wild. But there's obvious pressure cracks all around. Some are big, like some are heaving up with big push-ups, and some are subtle. And so I got a lot of use out of my spud the last couple trips out. Even though there's lots of thick ice, those ice chisels are just invaluable when you can come across a pressure crack, dude. Like, and so what they're doing in Green Bay, for folks that don't know, is they're dropping their tip up down, and that weight is just parked on the bottom, right? So what happens is if the ice moves, the tip up moves, it drags the weight and the flag goes up. It's actually a very ingenious design. Now, if I was going to go fish an area that was that like volatile, I don't think I would fish it, Scottie. Like as much as I want to catch a great big walleye out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, I don't know if I'd fish it. I don't know if I need to be on the news that badly. My personal opinion. But
I'm with you.
What's important though is that he's prepared and he's aware of what could happen. Like even Scottie, when that pressure crack came on us, I had a backup plan. I can walk 2 kilometers to the next access point if I have to, and then hitch a ride to get the vehicle. Like it's not a big deal. We had a way out, but this gentleman's definitely prepared. Kyle is definitely prepared.
And the thing that I wanted to draw attention to, Jay, is the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth piece that he has on the flag.
Yeah,
I didn't even know those exist.
Yeah, they're marketed. They're aftermarket. So Frabill doesn't. I don't believe Frabill makes those for their units. You buy them aftermarket for tip-ups, and you can set them so they can actually. There's a light, there's a sound, and then there's also Bluetooth notification on your phone. So,
well, that's advice on top of advice right there, because I didn't even know what that was. I'd never heard of that, but that's really cool.
Well, in our tip-up fishing, like it's kind of hokey. It's kind of hokey, man. But you know those little bells, those little ice fishing bells that are annoying, dude. We catch a lot of our fish because of those bells, man. Like any of our flag, we have these fancy flag tip-ups, and they're beautiful because they're insulated. They got a flag. I can set them differently, different settings. But when you're in a hut or the wind's blowing, you just hear that little ding ding, like that little ding. And then you got like 4 or 5 tip-ups out. We're a group of guys, and you just start which one's up. And then what's cool is when you have 4 teenage boys like doing the full run and slide for a flag. It's a lot of fun, dude. It's been great. We haven't really figured out the ice, like the pike fishing tip-up game. I know you and I know a lot of people up north that play this game all the time. It's actually quite new to me. I've always had tip-ups, but dude, we'd set them because we feel we should, because we're perch fishing. You know, we'll set one over here. Now, all I want to do is tip-up fish. I just want to dial this in. So I'm playing with where to put the hook on the fish and how big a bait to use and how far down. Now we're fishing shallow water, 5 feet, give or take a foot. So we know how far down to have it. And I like going out now because it's different conditions. Some days it's cloudy, some days it's sunny, some days it's windy and cloudy. And so the bite varies depending on the conditions, and it seems to be better when it's sunnier than cloudier for pike. Can you believe this?
I can.
And I think it's because, and I actually did some reading on this, and the fish doctor, Mr. Pizer, suggested in one of his articles, and I went back through some old articles of gourds, and it suggests that pike, because they're visual feeders, are a little more active in sun because it's shaded under the ice, right? The ice is dark.
Yep.
That sunlight coming through the ice actually gets the pike feeding more because they can see better.
Makes sense.
And I never would have thought about that. It's pretty cool, eh?
Makes sense. It does.
Yeah, it totally does.
Makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Interesting
And
stuff.
then, but I have to tell you, the last part of our pike fishing adventure, I'm gonna share.
I'm glad you got home safe. Like, listening to this, that is quite a story.
I know, buddy, but I have to tell you, like, I guess the message is you just got to be prepared, man. And so picks and chisels are just so important to have.
Amen.
And I never go home without them. I always have one spud with us, especially when I'm with Trevor and his buddies. Like, I'm responsible for those boys, right? So I'm going to share a picture here, a couple pictures. So this is Vince DiStefano. He's a buddy of mine on the Pure Fishing staff, Berkeley staff. He came out with us, and get this. So when we went pike fishing last time, we brought some perch rods. They just took up space. We didn't catch any perch. So we left all the perch rods at home. Well, while we're pike fishing, all these 10-inch plus perch start cruising through our holes. So we're digging through the tackle trying to find like jigs and stuff, right? And we ended up catching like beautiful like 10, 11, 12-inch perch on the pike had been hitting on rattle baits.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the rattle baits are like big, like size 60 and 70 rattle baits, and the perch were hitting the big rattle baits. Now, if I would have had perch-sized rattle baits, I think I would have cleaned up on the perch. So, and then while the perch are biting, we're getting a couple tip-ups going off. Trevor and I had one tip-up. We actually broke off 25-pound fluorocarbon on a pike. Yeah.
Whoa.
I was warned by a buddy who said, do not go less than 40-pound fluoro on your pike tip-ups. I'm like, oh, come on, 40. I got 25. Nope. 25 didn't cut it. I ran to the tip-up. It's spinning, right? I lift it up. I grab the tip-up line. I feel weight. I reach down, and I didn't even pull like really hard. I just gave it a good tug, and it just broke. And I pulled it up, and you could see where the teeth had cut. It's our own homemade quick search rig.
Wow.
2 2-aught trebles, and the one treble is just gone. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of that perch, I mean, the pike that's a decent looking pike too, but that perch, that's got 7 stripes if I'm not mistaken, and
yeah,
look at the 2 humps, the one at the head, and then my Lord, she's full of eggs, just full of eggs.
And you know what? Like, I know I've had people say, "Oh, can you hold it out any further?" I don't care what people say about that. That's a nice looking fish, man. You can tell that's a big perch. That fish is between 12 and 13 inches long. It's not a giant, but he's holding it out a bit. But I said to Vince, show that fish off, dude. That's a good looking perch. And this is Trevor's picture. Trevor's been really getting good at the camera angles. I got to give the kid credit. He's been doing really better with his camera.
Really, that perch is a decent perch, but the way it's positioned in the photo, I love it. Yeah, it actually,
and you got to hold them out, dude. Show them off. Like, yes. I know guys don't like it straight out, but I'm like, hold it out a bit. Like, you got to show these fish off, man.
Especially that one, like the hump on that back. Holy smokes, that's impressive.
And that pike was like a 1/4 inch shy of 30 inches. That was 29 3/4 inches, that pike.
Jeez.
So, and that was on a herring from Fishing World in Hamilton. You know, the pre-cut herring for salmon?
No way, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, dude, that's what we're using. We're using, like, I'm using sardines from Metro. Like, they're 7 inches, 8 inches long. I'm using full sardines. I'm putting one hook through the dorsal and one hook like through the tail and leaving the head kind of hanging down. And they like to grab the head first and then turn it and run. So,
wow, that's so
crazy.
Awesome. That is so awesome. Cool.
So that was Saturday. That was Saturday. We're gonna talk about Sunday. I'm gonna show this. We went to Collins Harbor. These guys run this great. I know them always bragging about these guys. I wish I could go to their place more. I just love the setup they have. Marshall Collins and his family runs the place. Our good friend Chris, he's driving the taxi this year. And Chris sent me some photos to share. So they invited us down. Chris has a hut, a permanent shelter, Scottie, out there that he built himself. It's Chris's personal hut. He's driving taxi for the Collins family. So he said, hey, can I use your hut? He's like, Jay, you're welcome to my hut anytime you want. And I said, that's awesome, dude. So we went out, and this is their setup. This is what they're using there at Collins Harbor. This is the taxi that Chris drives. So that flag is about 1 kilometer offshore along a road of trees, okay? And they check the ice all the time. So what they do is you get on the school bus. I call it the school bus. You got to put your gear on the flatbed, and then you hop in the middle. And it takes about 10, 12 people at a time. During peak times, like, Saturday morning, for example, they run 2 of these taxis. You're just running 1 kilometer out, back and forth. And then when you get to the flag, that's the drop off, and you can go wherever you want, as far as you want. Some of the older folks or people with really small kids, they just fish right by the flag, man. It's all good. Some of them trek forever. Trevor and I, we go a long ways, but this is their setup, dude. This was sunrise a few days ago down there. Like just amazing. All right. I got to talk about these two clowns. So this was us fishing on Sunday in Chris's hut. This is Geza and his son Reese. They're good friends of our family. They own a farm near Delhi. We fish there all the time. They're one of our best trout fishing spots. And but not just the trout fishing, dude. It's about the camaraderie.
Yep.
Like we have Geza's Hungarian, Barnucz is Hungarian, so is Revi Hungarian. We like to eat. We don't get this way not liking to eat, okay? And Geza always cooks a wicked meal, loves to cook fish. We did catch some perch. The perch fishing was pretty slow, but dude, we had such great conversation, a great time with friends. They brought out their side-by-side and their quad, so we had luxury, VIP all day. And to top the day off, with half hour left, they caught this big pike. And Geza and we took it home for Geza's parents. And this was Long Point Bay. This was Long Point Bay in my friend's hut. And so I like to support all the guys, but I definitely like to support local down here because these guys don't get out. They aren't out as much as the other folks in Ontario. So yeah, it's really awesome to see anglers out enjoying the ice. And I just love getting out there. Yeah, man. I love the mag ears. The mag ears rule, buddy. And yeah, so there you go. And dude, we had all the toys set up in the hut. We had the cameras and we had the flashers, and it was great. So a big shout out to Collins Harbor for hosting us. And dude, they sell, if you don't want to use their taxi, like you got to pay to park there, but they sell minnows. They have a great fully functional bait shop. You want to just go down to there, buy minnows, and go somewhere else, you can do that too. It's great. There's other operators on Long Point Bay. There's Woodside, there's Bayside, and there's another Jimmy Reagan at a Long Point itself. But we did our own show on the weekend, so that's my weekend summary, man. No, not a whole lot of fish caught on Sunday. The bite was slow. Lots of small perch, like tungsten jigs and maggots kind of thing. Yeah. But we probably still landed 30 perch. Wow. Trevor got a rainbow smelt on a tungsten jig.
No way. Cool. Wow.
Yeah. And then what's that?
How big was it?
Oh, probably like a good 7 or 8 inches long. Like a big smelt. So, and then we got that big pike at the end of the day. So that was great, man. It was just a fun weekend of friends and fishing. That's what ice fishing is about. It's that social, that socialness that I love about ice fishing. Anyone can come out and do it.
Couldn't agree more. Now, unfortunately, there are some things that we do have to talk about when it comes to ice fishing. There are some things that go on that are one-offs, anomalies, what we have to be aware of, because if we're not, you're going to end up on the wrong side of what these unfortunate individuals did. If anybody, I want to see the answers in the comments. What do you think this is?
Dude, I lost some hair on that. Wow.
You were in the flames.
Wow.
I again.
That was nuts.
Did you get a video of that?
Yeah, I had my thing going, but
You were in the flames.
yeah, I felt it. Do I have any facial hair left?
A little bit, but it's white. It's white.
I bet.
Wow.
I can smell burning hair.
I have never seen
Well,
that.
that's pretty neat.
I've seen smaller versions of it, but I
Yeah.
would love to see what folks' answers are in the comments. What do you think caused that? Be interesting to see how long it takes someone, but there's someone there that I know will probably be able to answer that right away. And until I see the answer, that's yep. Well done, Joe. Well done, buddy.
Methane.
That's exactly what it is. And here's what it can cause. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That is a hole in the side of a hut.
Yeah.
This family decided to do some cooking inside the hut, not realizing that there was a presence of methane.
Yeah.
Really, methane doesn't have necessarily that rotten egg smell all the time. Sometimes it's odorless. Sometimes. And this is a perfect example of obviously when it is, because there was obviously no indication to these individuals that, what is that smell? Maybe we shouldn't light something in here. His daughter got burned. He got burned. And this is just a reminder that, when this ice goes over these lakes, Jay will attest to this, you are locking in its inability to release gases. And unfortunately, when you have lakes that have a lot of foliage, greenery, algae, whatever you want to call it, when that doesn't get sunlight, it dies and it decomposes and it creates methane.
Yeah, like it could be like a lot of lakes that have a more like, I'm going to say probably lakes that have a lot more of a peat or moss bottom, like especially in Canadian Shield area lakes, like that's probably more likely to happen there. Like I spend 100+ days a year on the water, both for work and fun. And a lot of that time is ice fishing if the conditions are right. And I've only ever seen the methane a couple of times. I've never seen it ignite. It's very rare for areas that like in Ontario, it's quite rare unless someone tells me otherwise. I'm sure there's some lakes that are prone to it, but overall it's pretty rare. But yeah, I know they said they were cooking, but a heater's going to do that too. A buddy heater's going to get that too. Like it's just a flame, a heat source, right? So yeah, shocking. Shocking.
It is. It's shocking to see. Like obviously, I don't know what's going on in this body of water, and I'm not exactly sure what ignited the flame, because they got obviously close enough to it.
Yeah.
He either had a smoke in his hand, or maybe it was the phone that ignited it. At the end of the day, not everything is intrinsically safe. So we who's mindful of that whatever electronic you're carrying, is it intrinsically safe? Because I might encounter methane that is venting out of a lake. This is one of these things that, it's naturally occurring, and we just have to be mindful of it, because if we're not, we could end up getting hurt. So
no, I agree. And I don't know what else to tell somebody. Like, you just got to be mindful of it, and that's it. And it's a horrible tragedy. Like I didn't see that video yet, but I saw the pictures. Someone sent me the pictures already, and I was like, I wasn't surprised, but it's not a common thing to happen. So for folks listening, don't think this is commonplace, but it's definitely something that maybe folks need to be aware of. But I can pretty much assure you that most lakes in Southern Ontario don't have that kind of ecology happening that's going to trigger that kind of a result. But
100%.
No Blue Angels, no blue. I'm going to tell you, Scottie, that's too much information, but when this ice fishing deal, it ruins my little fitness journey I'm on here, because for 2 days it's like I'm eating pepperettes and cheese and all the good things, like
welcome to the dark side, Jay.
so Joe, you're not wrong about the flatulence that comes with such diets that my body has not used to anymore, and it's been a rough 36 hours, Joe. I'm going to put that out there.
That's actually a good point. And in some cases, Ed, I do believe in certain lakes they do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know when landfills get covered over, there's always venting that goes on there because, of course, there's always methane that's being let out. But no, great point. Yeah, you should. And in that lake, I would have to say that for sure they would probably have a vent pipe or a stack.
Yeah,
a couple anyway. The other thing, Jay just mentioned about pepperettes. Jay just mentioned about other foods. When you bring stuff out on the ice, remember to take it home with you.
Yes.
This is another reminder, unfortunately, of how anglers aren't being good.
Look at this. The garbage just sitting out there. Oh, unreal. Absolutely gross. Cigarette butts. Plastic bags. Pizza boxes. Propane cylinders. I'm going to throw those cans right at their head.
Like, all of that's awful, but the propane cylinders just blows me away, dude. Like, it's all horrible. All of this can be as simple as throw it in your hut. Like, throw it in your, everyone's got a sled. Throw it in your sled, clean up when you get home. Like, I bring, like, I'm not, ice fishing is, like, you got to bring food, dude, because if you're not catching, you got to eat. Like, I'm sorry, but that's it, and I always bring a bag to put, like, because everything's in a lot of our stuff we actually eat, Scottie, is in tin foil because we put it on the heater, right? So I make these like egg burritos and I'll do like pizza pockets and everything's on the heater. And so I needed something to put all the scrap tin foil that I'm rolling up and throwing. And then some days I get home, I just have balls of tin foil all through my suit. Like, because I got one of the striker suits where I lose my phone on a regular basis because it's buried in one of the 12 pockets that I have. But I actually had to get Trevor to call my phone because I couldn't figure out which pocket it was, and I was tired of looking for it. I'm like, just call the phone, dude. It's somewhere. And it was down, like, in my bibs, like, way down. I don't know, man. But, yeah, pick up your garbage, for crying out loud. There's nothing. And you know what breaks my heart, dude? And this happens on occasion. I will admit this. It's windy out there, and you open up the hut, and, like, someone's, like, candy bar wrapper blows away and there's no way I'm getting it. Like, and I feel awful. I feel horrible when that happens to you. Yeah, I really do. It doesn't happen often, trust me, but boy, I'm very anal about cleaning up the garbage when we're out there, and everyone else too.
Well, I will say there are two people that I want to mention right now, one of which is James Meager, who when he goes out on Simcoe or Cooch or wherever it is that he fishes, especially on the hard water, we constantly see videos of him picking stuff up. Another notable is Peter Young. Years ago, we had Talo Labignan up at the Honey Hole shooting a segment, a few ads, and we ended up getting pizza delivered to us. I don't know if we went to pick it up or it doesn't matter. Anyway, the wind, to your point, picked up and the box flew all the way across the Honey Hole, which would be nothing because I could just climb in the truck and drive around to the other side to pick it up. Peter Young walked the entire length of the pond to go pick up that pizza box because exactly as you just said, he felt bad.
Dude, if he he's a great dude, man. I have a lot of respect for Peter Young. Actually, Trevor and I are getting to know him a little bit better, and he's been very gracious to offer advice to Trevor. Trevor, he's really loving making the videos and doing it the right way. And I've encouraged him to reach out to friends and like Peter for advice. And I don't initiate that. Trevor's old enough to do that himself, and Peter's been great talking with Trevor about stuff. So yeah, he's a real stand-up guy, and I often reach out to him because I see some of the crap he puts up with on social media, like on some of the contests that he runs and it's amazing the controversies that start when someone's just trying to do the right thing. And you know this as well as Pete does, Scottie. And I often just feel obligated to send guys like Pete a message being like, dude, just so you know, you're awesome and you keep it up and don't let people drag you down. And I know that he doesn't let people drag him down, but I feel obligated to pump someone's tires up a little bit if they need it because I see the way people treat other people.
I don't know what annoys a person more. Is it when you've done something to upset someone and they share how upset they are with you? I don't know if that feeling of bad is any worse than someone giving you SHIT for something you didn't even do, or how did you take offense to that? That's not what I meant. Or you basically they get angry for nothing. I don't know what I get more upset at is someone that gets angry and I feel bad at that point, or is it someone that's yelling at me and it's like, do you even know what you're talking about? That's not true. That's what I see happening a lot to Peter, is that stuff that he's not even doing, he's getting accused of.
Yeah. Now, Tony, to your comment, I'm not sure you want me on the fitness pole. Like, if you need me, like, fishing's getting expensive, buddy. So if you want to throw a few, like Scottie, you were throwing some fives around in Chatham. You told us. So Tony, if you got some money to throw around, I'll swing on that pole for you. I got bills to pay too. Like,
when
Daddy wants a forward-facing sonar. So let's get talking.
I will say it got really funny, and you could see the sound crew and behind Mark and Jordan and the lot of them. They had a good laugh because when Bars was up there dancing, I threw a $5 bill on stage.
Great. That's great. Oh, that's a lot of fun. Hey, where did you stay down there? Did you stay down there? Did you stay?
We stayed at the Saxony Motel.
Oh yeah, nice.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard, and it was funny because there was a few people at the show, won't mention names, but they said it used to be called the Saxony, or it used to be called the Scratchy Motel. I have to say, all of whatever has happened in the past, the new owners have done a fantastic job. Those rooms were mint, for a motel. Those were hotel style rooms.
Well, and Scottie, so right there, see, this is how well I know Chatham. So that's right by the old, there's an old Super 8 right there.
Yep.
And beside that, in that plaza, there's a Subway. There's like a old Becker's. And dude, there's a little Mexican restaurant in that plaza called the Chili Pepper. It is fantastic homemade Mexican food. And there's a Timmy's right across the road from that hotel. Like, everything is right there, man. It's a great little setup.
That is one thing. There's another town, Peterborough, that you know a little bit about.
Yeah.
I will have to say, when it comes to Timmy's, Chatham has to have the world's most Timmy's per capita.
Oh yeah.
On the planet. I couldn't believe every time you looked up there was another Timmy's. It's incredible.
Yeah. There's so many Timmy's that when I work down there that I've learned the ones that aren't as busy in the mornings as other ones. And so I'll drive an extra, like I got to drive an extra 2 minutes to get to the less busy Tim's, and I'll be gone quicker than going to the busiest one. Right. So it's a great spot, dude. It's a great little spot down there. So
I will say, just because of, some of the restaurants closed at 8:00 on a Friday, like, it's a quiet town. I don't know if it's a retirement town. But there seems to be an older generation of people that live there.
Yeah.
And it seems quieter. I have to say,
there used to be a lot more industry there, and it used to be a lot busier of a town. Like, it's pretty big place, man. Like, it's not that small. It's a pretty big city, to be honest. But it's literally, it seems to me like it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, at least Windsor has Detroit.
Yep.
And London's like 500,000 people. London's the size of Hamilton, right smack in the middle of Southern Ontario. But then Chatham is this pretty big place, right kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it has a lot going for it. Like I said, I work there a lot. A lot of my friends don't like Chatham that much, but they have no reason to go down there unless they're going fishing. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. So no, it's a great spot.
Loved it. Loved that place. Look forward to get back.
When's the next show? What's the next show?
So the next show is obviously the Spring Fishing and Boat Show that's coming up this weekend. That is for all of us, and we will all. That is basically our, I want to say, our family reunion of sorts when it comes to the fishing community.
Yeah,
I truly look forward to that show, simply because it is a calling for all of us to gather. Then, of course, we have the Ottawa Boat and Outdoor Show that's coming on the following weekend, and then we get a bit of a lull in March. Right, and then we've got CanCast, and then we of course have our two shows. But I want folks in CFN land to stay tuned, because we might have some announcements upcoming of how we might be a part of some of these upcoming shows. One of which, of course, is Ottawa. The Made in Canada Tackle Show is going to have a segment within the Ottawa show. We're really proud and excited about that. One thing I will say, Jay. when it comes to what we've done, what we've embarked on, and I think this is really important. If there's any advice I can give anybody, make sure you're constantly reading your audience, making sure you're reading what's going on around you. Situational awareness is really important. And something that Brad and I recognized when we announced these 3 shows, we were thinking of the vendors. We truly wanted to do this for the vendors. And it was the vendors that turned around and said, it's too much. Like, we have this show, we have that show.
Yeah.
Like, Scott, we might not have the product for these shows.
Yeah.
So Brad and I have, as I said, we're going to carry forward because we need to and we want to for the sake of our vendors with the other 2 shows, but we might have to rethink things for next year because these shows do put a lot of onus on.
It's true though. Like I'll give a shout out to Jeff Penner, Jeff's Jigs. Actually, George Morgan sent me a message this week. It was great. He actually reached out to Jeff and ordered a bunch of tackle. Thanked me for introducing Jeff to you guys through the CFN Live, which is awesome. I'll speak for Jeff because I know the Penners pretty well now, and like Jeff's been busy tying jigs like for months, and his only big show is CanCast, and he's been preparing for that show. Now he does some custom orders and stuff, of course. But, and he wants to make sure he has enough stock, and that's only one show. Now I realize he's a teenager. He goes to school and stuff, but yeah, he's working late nights and early mornings tying jigs, right? Just for one show. So it's hard. It's hard. I'm kind of getting some insight now, knowing more. I've known some of the guys. I've known Bruce from Ugly Boys Baits forever, but I don't know about their business sort of model, and then I've been talking with them more over the last year. Not that I want to run a business like that, but I am intrigued how it goes, man.
And that's exactly, I'm the same way, Jay. I'm intrigued, and I just have this overwhelming desire to want to help because I see, the Bruces, and I see the Allies and the Jeff's Jigs and the POW castings. I mean, there's a whole host of Canadian-made tackle that we should be so proud of, and I just want to promote the heck out of it. But unfortunately, you know what? I was taught a bit of a lesson. As much as it may be a great thing to do, Scott, we just won't have the product to meet the demand. And so it is. It's a learning exercise for all of us. But yeah, next year might be a little bit different. But I will say this: I can guarantee you right now, as God is my witness, we will be back in Chatham next year for sure.
Well, and let's close off. I'm going to share one more thing, buddy. And
yes, and I hope it has to do with the weather because Joe did ask. Yeah, He did ask about all the upcoming snow and how that's going to have an effect on ice fishing. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. So this is maybe I'm going to try and zoom this in a little tighter here, but this is the Weather Underground app website that I like to use this a lot. And what you're seeing here is this is the trend line, and you're going to have, here's that Wednesday night. This is Barrie. Just so everyone knows, I picked Barrie because it's kind of central to so many of our friends, right? South of George, north of me, and it's just north of you. Jim's over there on the east somewhere, but like I think that you're going to see a similar weather trend. The volume of snow will change where you are, but definitely a similar trend. Like Barrie's looking at anywhere from 23 to 25 to 30 centimeters between Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, another couple centimeters. Then Saturday night into Sunday, another 15 centimeters for Barrie, right? And this isn't even taking into account lake effect snow. I think this is just that clipper that's coming in. 2 clippers coming in back to back on Wednesday night, and then Saturday night. So like we're going to have a lot of snow. And I think the problem with that, and the temperatures are good. I should talk about that. So this bottom line here is the temperature line, that first line below the clouds. That's our temperature line. So we're going to maintain some, like, not really cold. There's some -17. And then when we get back into the weekend, we're going to get down to -17 again. And even through here, -9, -8, -6. Mm-hmm. Great temperatures for ice fishing. Anything above -10 is actually quite nice, as long as it's not super windy.
Yep.
But what you're seeing here is major pressure changes. That's what this bar is at the bottom, is the barometric pressure. Now this is a forecast, but it's showing you're going to see where those 2 storms pass. There's that first storm coming in. You're going to get the barometer is going to bottom out, and then that second storm is going to pass and bottom out right there. And it's gonna get really. It could be ugly for a few days for getting around, and what it will do to the ice, and this already is happening in the Simcoe or really a Couchiching area. All that snow they're getting is insulating that ice pack, and so you're getting slush forming on some of these lakes. So some of these lakes that have been full of snow and lots of ice, but now you're getting insulation. Now the ice will not, like, it's going to be weak in a lot of these places, but boy, it's going to make hard getting around. We've gone in 3 weeks. We've gone from basically the start of ice fishing season to like the middle of ice fishing season, because this is when ice fishing gets hard, is in February, when you get snowpack and the slush and all those things, right? So yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Jay, as always, dude, you're a wealth of information, and we just love it, have you in a part of our community. And as I said, like Jim, like Lawrence, you were missed on the weekend, but we know you were there in spirit, and that's
absolutely, dude. And I'll see you this weekend, right?
Absolutely. The
Right
spring fishing and boat show. We will be there at the International Center in Mississauga. Come by the OFC Nation booth. Are you and Trevor presenting?
No. So this weekend, I'm just working at High Falls Outfitters with Ben and Tom Choppin and those guys. So I'll be there for the weekend at High Falls, but I'll be around the show. Like when it quiets down, I want to make sure I visit you guys, and I want to visit Enzo and his family over at Outdoor Power Box, and I just want to visit some of the usual suspects that I don't get to see very often and shake some hands. So I'll be around, and I'll be there for the whole show, Friday through Sunday night, and then hopefully family day we'll get some fishing in. But it's looking real cold Sunday, Monday. So I'm not a fair weather angler per se, but I know some people that live here are they're not too keen on minus 17 without the wind chill. But we're gonna see what happens. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get out.
Look forward to seeing you this weekend. Drive safe, Jay, and all your travels.
You too.
And we will we'll give a hug or two this weekend.
Yeah. See ya.
Take care, bud. All the best. And that's our show for yet another Monday. As I said, guys, I love doing this, and I love doing it for you that watch. It means the most. And as I said, Jay and I never got a chance to talk about it. But again, I was reminded this weekend, and I think it's really important, because if she's watching, and I know I'm terrible with names. It's either Rebecca, Becky, or Becca. I'm not 100% sure what your name is. You were a gem to talk to, you and your husband. It meant the world to share that story with, how she's been watching our CFN lives, how she's really gotten into fishing, and how this community has really affected her and her husband. It was an incredible story, and all it does is it just reaffirms the purpose of what it is that we do here at CFN. We're here to educate. We're here to inspire, and we're here to learn. You know, at the end of the day, there's never a day that goes by that I don't learn something. I'm sure you guys are the same way. And to be able to share that with others, man, I tell you, that is what CFN is all about. And we truly appreciate all of you that come here with great intentions, lots of knowledge, and some fantastic stories. That's what we look forward to. Listen, we're going to be at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show at the International Center starting on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and of course, Sunday, 4-day event. We are going to be dodging a few storms along the way. It has never stopped us before, and I doubt it'll stop us again this time. So we look forward to seeing you, Moose, Jeff, and Steve. The whole bunch of us are going to be there from OFC Nation. Come by, shake a hand, share a story. We'd love to see you. In the meantime, have yourselves a great week. Stay safe with all this weather that is coming. Either way, we have to be mindful and make sure that we get where we are meant to go and back again. Dave, it's time to take us away. Have yourselves a week. Love you all. Peace.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights. The party's over. They say that all good things must end.